heartfelt condolences go out to those individuals lost property, been evacuated, may be evacuated, and are suffering as a result of this crisis.
Tonight, a rarely used weather alert is in effect in northern Nevada as wildfires burn out of control across the west. Evacuees waiting and wondering what comes next.
Most of our, important things, documents out, but always concerned.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Tonight, flames are threatening tens of thousands of homes across 2 different states. 3 of the West's biggest fires are burning right now in Southern California. But there is also a concerning situation unfolding in northern Nevada. That's where a weather alert has been issued that is more serious than a red flag warning. Emergency managers are calling conditions near Reno a, quote, particularly dangerous situation. That's where the Davis fire has already destroyed more than a dozen homes and other buildings. We begin tonight's team coverage of the wildfire threat across the West with Fox 11's Andrea Esparza, who is joining us live from South Reno. Andrea?
Well, Alex, for the last few hours, we have been trying to get up to the Davis fire, which is actually just up this highway here. This is Mount Rose Highway. But unfortunately, as you can see, that road closed. It's been closed for multiple days now. And everything in South Reno right now is locked down because we do have a PDS red flag warning. And because of these intense winds that we are expecting, there's always a chance that these embers can fly around and spark another fire, causing the Davis fire to spread. Again, we're still monitoring that situation. It was in place at 11 a.m. and it will be turned off at 8 p.m. But again, still monitoring that situation here from South Reno. Well, the last time the National Weather Service issued a PDS red flag warning was in September of 2019. That's nearly 5 years ago at this time. And this warning is incredibly rare, but it is a good reason, as you can see and possibly hear. We have some high winds, especially up on the mountaintops, but it's going to be the southwest winds that are reaching gusts of 40 miles or even 70 miles per hour, but they are much stronger up by the mountain, as I just mentioned. All this creating dangerous situations, causing mass concerns for the spread of the Davis fire, which ignited on Saturday, September 7th. And so far, the fire has burned nearly 6,000 acres, and it's now 37% contained. And with winds of this magnitude, everyone is really preparing for the worst.
For those in the warning areas, please make sure you are ready. Have that ready bag ready that has at least 3 to 5 days of clothing, medicine. The one thing we're getting questions on is oxygen tanks. So if you have any medical needs, make sure you have that either in your car or however you're going to move.
Yeah, that pertaining to a lot of people in this area that have been evacuated. But because of this PDS red flag warning, all the aerial attacks have been put on pause all the way throughout today, which means that fire crews have one less option when trying to control the Davis fire. Right now, 37% contained and nearly 6,000 acres burned so far. Here in Reno, I'm Andrea Esparza. Back to you.
And Andrea, how has this, the severe weather up in that area, how has that expanded the evacuation orders there on the south end of Reno?
Yeah, Alex, we've seen some minor changes in terms of evacuation warnings. It has kind of expanded to a few miles outside the perimeter of the fire. But right now, things are actually not as bad as many forecasters anticipated. So we are really lucky in terms of those gusty winds not being as intense as many of us hoped. But again, it's still something to be looking out for because you really never know when Mother Nature can take a turn for the worse. So people in these evacuation zones really need to be ready to go at any time.
Yeah,
Alex?
That is certainly true. That is the Fox 11's Andrea Esparza reporting live for us near Reno tonight, near the scene of the Davis fire. Andrea, thank you for the update there. Now, tonight in Southern California, 3 large fires continue burning out of control, prompting thousands to evacuate across several counties. The largest of the 3 is the Bridge Fire, which has destroyed at least 33 homes and 6 cabins in the San Gabriel Mountains. 10,000 people have been evacuated across Los Angeles and San Bernardino counties. LA County supervisors have declared a local emergency, and the board's chair says that will expedite all of the necessary resources to fight the fire. One man staying behind in an area threatened by the fire says he's prepared.
Yeah, last night was pretty crazy because of the wind came through here. I couldn't even see the neighbor's house from the smoke. It was so thick. But, you know, I've done the brush fires before in the past, and I'm pretty confident I can make sure that at least my house and my neighbors' houses are safe.
Oh, so you're going to take care of neighbors' houses too?
Sure.
And this fire has burned more than 50,000 acres. The cause is still under investigation tonight. Not far away, the line fire continues burning in San Bernardino County. And tonight, authorities say that fire was deliberately set. 34-year-old Justin Holstenberg is under arrest for the fire, which has grown to more than 36,000 acres since it started back on September 5th. About 18,000 people remain under evacuation orders as the fire burns toward Big Bear Lake. Authorities say the suspect in this case is a delivery driver for FedEx, and his vehicle helped lead to the arrest.
Vehicle. That's how they started out. Was the vehicle, and that ultimately led to the other leads that ultimately led to the arrest of the suspect.
The sheriff's office didn't say what evidence was recovered or what may have motivated the arson, but they believe Holstenberger may be responsible for other fires as well. Tonight, he's being held on $80,000 bail. In Orange County, the airport fire has now grown to more than 22,000 acres with no containment tonight. This is burning in an area that hasn't seen fire in decades in critically dry conditions. Officials say dozens of homes have burned and 2 people have been injured here. With cooler weather, though, in the forecast, crews say they are hoping to be able to start putting some line around this fire maybe in the coming days. All right, we want to get more perspective tonight on the fire threat all across the West. And to do that, we're joined live tonight by Mark Nouveau, a former FEMA coordinator with decades of experience as a firefighter and first responder. Mark, thank you for the time tonight. You see the situation across the West here. We have several large fires burning out of control, a number of other smaller fires, and all of this is prompting evacuations and emergency orders. What kind of a strain does all of this put on firefighting resources?
Yeah, tremendous strain, Alex. Good evening to you. I'm wearing a Class A uniform tonight to honor 343 New York firefighters that were killed 23 years ago in a terrorist attack. But coincidentally, that raises that within the last 24 hours, we've added 355 additional firefighters to the fire lines to be able to handle these fires that are going across the country. We're at 80% of capacity in terms of the firefighters available to battle these fires. We're at a level of 5, planning level 5, 1 through 5, 5 being the worst, meaning we have to move resources. There's fires where there are not firefighters actually working the fire because there aren't enough resources to do that. So we are challenged, no question about it.
We just got word a short time ago that California Governor Gavin Newsom has issued a state of emergency for 4 counties in Southern California where they have those large fires burning out of control and threatening many, many homes. What does an order like that mean in terms of getting more help at the scenes of these fires?
Well, it opens up contracting. It moves resources quickly. It's the first step in getting federal assistance of FEMA, FMAG they call it, Fire Management Assistance Grants, which pays for aerial coordinating shelters, emergency evacuation, things of that nature. So it opens up more resources. But when you think about the magnitude that we're talking about, 1,500 firefighters, fire engines, 24,000 firefighters on the line. And in perspective, you know, in the city we sit in right now, Oakland, they've probably got about 150 firefighters on duty for the entire city. So when we're talking and that means 25 engines and 7 trucks. So when we're talking about 1,500 fire engines and 24,000 firefighters across the country battling fires, it gives you a perspective of just how big this is.
Mark, let me ask you this. We hope it's certainly not the case, but what happens if we have other large fires that break out at this particular moment when resources are already stretched thin?
Well, what we're seeing in Washington is there's 245 military personnel that are actually engaged in firefighting operations because of the resources being so scarce. Now, what they'll do is there's an agency called the National Interagency Fire Center in Boise, Idaho, and their charge is to be able to look at fires all across the nation and move resources based upon, the danger to personnel, homes being destroyed, businesses being destroyed. So they'll move resources, but keep in mind, we've got 117 wildfires going across this country right now.
All right, finally, as we wrap up here, Mark, let me ask you about the situation in the Reno area. We just saw the live report there. A lot of concern about the winds picking up here, and the National Weather Service describing the conditions in a way that we really don't often hear as a particularly dangerous situation. What exactly does that mean in terms of how authorities are responding to this fire tonight?
Yeah, that's a great question. When we think about it, that designation by the National Weather Service is used about 3% of the time. It's rarely used for fires and typically used for tornadoes. So what they're saying is there's 70 mile per hour winds that they're concerned about fanning that fire, which could travel up to 7 miles in 24 hours if those conditions continue. So there's a great threat to the people. That's why you're seeing large evacuations, and there's great concern for the safety of the firefighters on those fire lines.
All right, really appreciate your insight tonight. That's former FEMA coordinator Mark Nouveau. Mark, good to have you on.
Thank you.
Obviously, a lot of smoke from all of those fires across the West, including the ones in Southern California and in northern Nevada. And all of that has prompted a smoke alert for the Las Vegas Valley. Here's a live look at conditions in Las Vegas tonight, where the sky has been hazy throughout most of the day. And you can see it in this shot. Authorities are telling seniors, children, and those with respiratory or heart disease to stay indoors right now. And the FAA is slowing down arrivals of planes coming into Harry Reid International Airport because of reduced visibility with all of that haze. Let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Mark Tamayo, who is tracking the weather conditions that are really complicating the firefighting efforts across the West. Mark?
Hi there, Alex. Yeah, talking about the wind and the heat. And this one particular forecast model kind of takes everything into account, and it gives you this product here. You can see the fire scale from moderate to high. So very active for today, as you would expect. But we are expecting changing conditions into your Thursday forecast, and somewhat of an improvement for tomorrow as well, as we do scale back on some of those wind speeds. In terms of the air quality and the smoke, here is the forecast model showing you that the smoke plume, at least the animation, as we do take this into your Thursday. So a lot of this depends on the fire behavior, but still down in Southern California, portions of southern Nevada, and also other parts of Nevada as well, and up in the Pacific Northwest, dealing with possibly some smoke and some haze. You've been hearing about the conditions in Nevada. That red flag warning, thankfully, should be expiring soon, so it could be coming to an end until 8 o'clock this evening. So the key concern with this has been those strong winds accelerating from the west and the very dry conditions, possibly as low as 5%. But we should have improving conditions tonight and into tomorrow morning. Here's a look at some of the air quality reports, as you can see, and some red centers down in Southern California. That's not good here on the air quality scale, and also in portions of Utah. And earlier today, I did see a red showing up closer to the Las Vegas area. In terms of the satellite and the radar, as you can see, we are actually tracking some clouds and some rain showers up in the Pacific Northwest, up toward parts of Oregon and Washington here. This was a scene in Seattle today, showing you some cloud cover, actually some measurable rainfall, 0.13, and temperatures in the upper 60s. In San Francisco, some fog in the morning, some sunny breaks in the afternoon hours, 66 degrees. And then down in Southern California, some haze out there, air quality not the greatest, but thankfully we're not talking about that extreme heat. A high today of 81 degrees. Right now it is 103 degrees in Phoenix, Portland 69, and Seattle checking in 62. Here's the plan for tomorrow. Still the chance of some scattered showers in Seattle, clearing skies in San Francisco, and then more sunshine in Denver. Warm to hot in Southern California and also out toward Arizona for tomorrow. So here is the forecast model showing you the rain moving out to the east, out toward Idaho for tomorrow, but still some lingering clouds and a chance of a shower in Seattle for tomorrow. Some more areas, as you can see, Concord in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, upper 80s, Santa Clarita in Southern California in the 80s as well. So over the next 3 days, here is the breakdown for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 70s to near 80 degrees in Los Angeles, triple digits out toward Phoenix, but most areas actually, at least across parts of California, cooling off a bit, and that could be at least somewhat of a good development as we head into the weekend, Alex.
Yeah, hoping those fire crews get a bit of a break with the weather here as we head toward the weekend.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you for that. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, voters in a key battleground state here in the West are weighing in on last night's presidential debate. Tonight, independents in Arizona talk about how the candidates' performances on the debate stage could influence their vote. Also, we'll show you something special that has many people looking to the night sky in Utah. Every vote makes a difference in a swing state like Arizona. Fox 10's Lauren Clark checked in with independent and undecided voters at Arizona State University today to find out if last night's presidential debate changed anybody's minds.
Are you guys registered to vote?
54 days left until Election Day.
We're giving out free donuts to all ASU students who are registered to vote.
And the race to get voters out to the polls is on. One demographic particularly coveted by both candidates.
Historically, this group is notoriously unpredictable.
Independent, says ASU professor at the School of Public Affairs, Tom Riley.
They were supporting Obama by 8 percentage points, and they switched to Trump by 4 percentage points, then Biden by 13 percentage points. In January, independents were leaning towards Trump by 10 percentage points in some polls. And most recent polls are showing maybe there's a 2 to 4% shift towards Harris.
People start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
When people don't go to her rallies, there's no reason to go.
But did last night's heated debate make a difference? Not all independent voters are undecided at this point. In fact, these two independent voters have their minds made up.
I will be voting for Kamala this election.
Donald Trump.
Neither said the debate played a role. Rather, their deciding issues are ones experts predict will highly influence voters: abortion and the economy.
For me personally is like stance on abortion issues.
It's about money. I like money.
A good portion of independents probably have decided on their candidate. But I think that there is one group of voters that perhaps a debate may be more informative, or perhaps have the ability to shift or solidify who they vote, would be the independent voters.
So was it Trump's or Harris's words who swayed them? Riley says it's perhaps too early to tell.
They're going to focus a lot, perhaps more so, on issues, right? So they're going to want more detailed information about issues that are important to them.
And that was Fox 10's Lauren Clark reporting tonight. Right after the debate, Vice President Harris got a huge endorsement from Taylor Swift. In a post on Instagram, the pop superstar called Harris a gifted leader and explained to her millions of followers why she plans to support the Democratic ticket. In this photo, Swift is holding her cat, and she signed the post, quote, "childless cat lady." That's a reference to past comments from Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance about women without children. Now, Swift urged her fans to research the candidates themselves and make their own choice. I talked earlier with TMZ host Charles Latiboudiere about the timing of the Swift endorsement.
It was interesting that Taylor did make mention of voting early. And so maybe they felt like she did really well. Kamala Harris did really well in the debate. So let's get these young voters and Taylor's fans thinking about getting them registered and getting them thinking about voting early, because, you know, that's really what this is going to come down to.
In her post, Swift wrote that her endorsement of Harris was prompted in part by former President Trump's decision to share AI-generated images that suggested the pop star supported him in this election. Tomorrow, former President Trump will return to the western battleground state of Arizona. He's set to make an economic speech during a campaign stop in Tucson. Later in the day, Trump is set to attend a private fundraiser in Los Angeles. The Republican presidential nominee is scheduled to hold a news conference in Southern California in the community of Rancho Palos Verdes on Friday morning. And then after that, he heads up to the San Francisco Bay Area for a fundraiser on Friday night. Vice President Harris's husband will be campaigning in Tucson on the same day as the president. The Harris campaign says tomorrow's events for Doug Emhoff will underscore the differences between both campaigns' visions for the future. And both presidential nominees were back together in New York today. They joined with President Biden to take part in a service that marked the 23rd anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a potential strike looming at Boeing facilities across Washington and California, why workers could soon be walking picket lines. And a Utah man brings his spectacular show home. See how he has people looking up to the skies in St. George. There is growing risk tonight of a strike among Boeing workers at facilities in Washington and California. The union president, representing 33,000 Boeing employees, says he believes those workers will reject the company's latest contract offer. It includes a 25% pay raise over 4 years and a guarantee that Boeing's next plane will be built in Washington. But the union is calling for a 40% raise over 3 years and restoration of pensions that union members lost through concessions a decade ago. Boeing has not commented on the impasse. The union is set to vote on this offer tomorrow, and if it's rejected, they'll vote to strike on Friday. Attorneys general from 3 West Coast states have decided not to join a broad effort to better warn the public about the dangers of social media. A group of bipartisan attorneys general from 42 states sent a letter to Congress proposing a Surgeon General warning label for social media apps. The group provided research that links the use of social media to anxiety and depression, especially in young people. They argue a warning label, similar to those on alcohol and tobacco products, will increase awareness and hopefully improve mental health. However, attorneys general from Alaska, Arizona, and Montana did not sign on to that letter. A Utah man entertaining crowds all across the country has a new show for people in his hometown. Fox 13's Chris Reed got a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes for him to light up the night sky with drones.
I'm Fox 13 News reporter Chris Reed. St. George had its first large drone show, and it turns out it was a homecoming for a local resident. Jesse Stone grew up in St. George as a baseball nut, where he was part of a state finalist team at Snow Canyon High and the 2004 Junior College National Title team at what was then Dixie College. Now he's into nuts and bolts of drone shows, having started droneshow.com 4 years ago. He runs the July 4th and Pioneer Day drone shows at Jordan Park up north and has also done shows in places like Miami. As he was helping set up 145 drones on the red cliffs above St. George for the city's first ever show, he felt the pressure.
I got to answer to this. People in Miami don't know me. They don't know my name. They don't go to school with my kids. But here, everybody knows everybody. And so we want to make sure we're on our best behavior. It's like I really want to do an incredible job for the family and friends and the community that's given so much to me, and we're really excited.
Drones are spaced out about a meter apart before taking off and won't get a meter from each other in the air. It uses GPS satellites for positioning, and it's all programmed on laptops for precise locations and colors with powerful LED lights that could be seen for 15 miles. And sometimes it doesn't go right.
That's the nature of technology. It's not entirely perfect, but we have safeguards in place, so if that does happen, they can still operate safely in the sky without cascading and falling to the ground. And it's always like hard for us when 1 or 2 drones don't take off. But for the most part, the general public, they don't observe that, and they recognize the beauty that's still there.
The Monday night show was a kickoff for the week-long Dixie Days event, also a first for St. George, celebrating the city's heritage. So what did the mayor think of the hometown residents' debut in the local skies?
I think he just wanted to give us a taste of what he could do so that we'll hire him. And everyone, I was on top of the parking garage downtown, and there were a lot of people there, and everyone was applauding, and everyone thought it was absolutely great.
From St. George, Chris Reed, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Yeah, those drone shows are impressive. All right, that does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. Have a great night.